In today's video, I'm going to take you through a really quick grade in Resolve using a plugin called Dehancer. I'm going to be using this plugin quite a lot in some up-and-coming projects, and I thought it'd be a great fun thing to do to just show you how to use it. When we did the underwater shoot, Tom came along and he did a bit of footage on his Blackmagic 4K cinema camera and made a little film. And the film you can see here. And it's about waking up, finding out you're underwater, having a little freak out, and then going back to sleep because it's just much easier not to know about stuff. Conspiracy theory stuff. So we're in the color page now. If we go to Dehancer, it just appears as one of your plugins, and you whack it in your node tree. And the first thing you'll do is a color space transform, and you can do it very nicely, actually using the camera that you shot it on. So this was a 4K. 4K in film mode, yes. Enable defringing. Defringing is there to emulate the roll-off of film and try and soften the roll-off on Digi. We've got our first exposure comp here, and we can just bring that down a bit. Temperature comp, we can try and level out the parade a little bit. It's going to be weird. You're underwater. It's going to be a bit blue. Tint, see if we can't kill some of that green, and just defringe the crap out of it, because defringing is pretty subtle. The next thing is Kodak, well, not Kodak, film profile. You've got a number of film profiles available. All sorts of things. Experimental color stock, Polaroids, Lomachrome. Kodak Vision 3 is the standard. Let's have 250. All of the enable things are underneath, and everything is controllable via a keyframe. So, film developer. Now, different film stocks will respond differently to different developers. So this is there to emulate that. But we can always use. But we can also use this program as a sort of shortcut to grading. Because, boosting the contrast here does nice things to our parade anyway, and we don't have to go back and do the wheels. So if you want a simple way to color grade something that isn't necessarily color wheels, if you don't necessarily get on with all this stuff and the curves, you can do it all through here and get a pretty good look. I'm a little bit hot up here. Let's have a look and see how it's playing out. Starting to kill my frame rate. This is not an unpowerful computer. It's got a 3090 NVIDIA graphics card in it, 128 gig of RAM. Can't remember. I think it's got i9, so I just can't remember how many. So it's quite juicy, this. Bear that in mind. Let's have a look, see if we can recover that white point. And we can increase the impact a little bit. I'm just looking to try and recover as much as I can up there. So technically nothing's actually, blown to hell. And then we can expand on what we did before, and we can drop the black point a bit. And it's starting to crush the reds down here quite badly, so take that back a little bit. Just, bring that back. I mean, skin tones should normally reside around here. So, printing. You, of course, do print with film. You've heard the expression cut and print. You develop all of your rushes, but you wouldn't print all of your rushes. When you did print it, you had the option to adjust all of these things as well, much like you do in the darkroom. So you can change the exposure, you can change your contrast, and apparently your color density. I don't know how you change your color density in the timing, but it's quite a useful thing to have here. And then, of course, you have your color head. So although, you weren't projecting the thing that you printed on, all film printing was contact printing, you could still adjust your colors in timing, and which is how grading was done before computers were around. So let's have a look here. The red, we could use a bit more red. Yeah, it confuses me a little bit because in the stills version, enable is on the top. But I'm just looking at my parade now. I'm not looking at my picture, and I really need the red in the highlights. And I'm avoiding using my wheels to show you how awesome this software is. But I think there's got to be some balance between the two. I don't know what preserve exposure actually does. I don't honestly know. I'm very sorry about that. Film grain, we all know what that does. It makes it all noisy and stuff. Halation is when, well, there's two types of halation. There's halation that you get through lenses, which is kind of on the edge of chromatic aberration. And then you've got the way that the light would go through the film and then bounce off the back of the camera and then back into the film again. And it creates a kind of blooming effect, which we have here. So halation, you're not going to see much halation here because there are no sort of bright spots in shot, but the halation gives you a kind of like halo effect around highlight. So I put it on here, but you're not really going to see it. Blooming, you might see a bit of bloom. Not really the kind of image that's going to bloom much though. So I'm going to turn both blooming and halation off. Film damage. Do I want film damage? I mean, it's the damage on your film. I'm going to turn it off. Film breath. I don't know what film breath is per se. Breathing in lenses is when it zooms in a little bit when you focus. I'm going to leave that off. Gate weave. Gate weave I remember the most from Fight Club. When the gate just goes mental during the film. I just thought that was awesome. Overscan. Now overscan is, you know, where you scan the edges of the negative as well. It's really fun, and there's various different gates that you can play with, and it does actually feel pretty good and look pretty real. I love it. It's been about 20 years since I was at college and got to play with a telecine machine, and I haven't touched one since. Vignetting, not really a film effect as such, but it does help. Should we turn off the overscan? Should we turn off the overscan? Yeah, let's turn off overscan. Should we turn off overscan? I like overscan, it's fun. I think we'll just leave it in for now. Also, when you got onto a telecine machine, it would overscan a little bit, and then you would have to sort of crank it into the right place so that you could just telecine the bit you wanted. And yes, we've done that. Now monitor, we've got some monitor effects. Now, false colors, it's pretty interesting. I mean, I don't like looking at false colors. I don't think I'd put them in at the end. And then you can generate all of this stuff as a lookup table, which I think is fantastic. So if we hop back, this is what our film looks like now. So if I wanted to make a grindhouse film or an Evil Dead style horror film, I might have access to film photography, but I don't really have access to film cinematography. Even if you have the cameras, the film itself is still astronomically expensive. So Dehancer really comes into its own. So if you use the discount code Olitography, you can get 10% off, and it will feature in quite a few up and coming videos. So until the next video, happy shooting.